In the beginning there was the world. And in that world there were vehicles that had some form of use, but then our overlords at Rockstar Games began to update the world with new vehicles, and slowly, over time, these vehicles lost their purpose and were relegated to obsolescence in favor of the new wave of militarized vehicles. This list will show you the vehicles which were either made completely useless or never had a place in the world of GTA 5 Online. Firstly on the list, let's take a look at one vehicle that has never been of any use whatsoever. A vehicle so slow, so ugly, so without purpose you can't help but feel bad for it. I of course am talking about the Tugboat. Despite attempts in recent history to make it a somewhat useful vehicle by forcing the player to use it as a drop-off vehicle for cell missions, it feels like Rockstar made this a thing to justify having a member of their team create the artwork and physics for such a useless vehicle, or perhaps to drag out the length of a cell mission that otherwise could be over in around 2 minutes using any other boat. Whatever reason Rockstar had for making this vehicle, it is still at the top of our list of completely useless vehicles. Next on our list of vehicles devoid of use, we have to look to the skies. Here we have the Blimp. Initially a single player only vehicle, Rockstar made the Blimp available to players to use online, but for the life of us, we don't know why. Slow, ugly, unfun to fly, and basically a huge target to anyone on the ground, the Blimp is the epitome of useless. If we were to make a race between the Blimp and the Tug, we are unsure which of them would take the trophy for slowest, and it sounds so tedious we really don't want to try it. Nevertheless, here it is second on our list. Thirdly on our list we have another aerial vehicle. The crop duster is so slow that when we were testing this plane out we saw cars on the ground driving faster than it was flying. Imagine flying a piece of glass into a whirlwind while wearing a tool belt packed with 15 sledgehammers around your waist, and you will have something almost reaching the fragility of the crop duster. Look at this thing the wrong way and it will explode right in your face. Coming in for a landing? Big mistake. If you are unfortunate enough to be forced to use this vehicle and value your life, we would recommend trying your luck at jumping from the pilot's seat without a parachute, at least that way you stand a chance of making it out of there alive. Next up we have something we hate ourselves for having to include, but in the grand scheme of this video we felt like we have to add it. The Golf Caddy was a really fun and gimmicky vehicle to drive when GTA 5 was still in its infancy. You and your friends would have great fun tackling hills and driving down Mount Chiliad in a Golf Caddy, but as time has gone on, there is now no way to have fun in these beautiful little machines. If you were to drive one on the streets today, we estimate you would get maybe 45 seconds of actual drive time before someone in an insurgent blows you to pieces, so for that reason the Golf Caddy is on the list. Moving on, we have the Field Master Tractor. We have all been there. You are driving along and get your car stuck or blown up. You respawn and you have another 4 minutes to wait before you can call your mechanic to bring you a new car, and the only vehicle you can find is the Field Master Tractor. You take a moment to look around for anything better to drive and see nothing in the distance, so you are forced to take it because it is ever so very slightly faster than walking. You pray to the gods above for another vehicle to spawn, but unfortunately the entire road begins to fill with nothing but the Field Master Tractor. We know how you feel, because we too have been in this situation, and every time it happens we die a little inside. Another vehicle that has zero use in the world of GTA 5 is the Dump. Expensive, huge, slow, fragile. The Dump has it all. Need to get through a tunnel? Not today, my friend. Your objective is over that gentle slope? Better hope there's a road wide enough to drive around, because you're not making it up there in this thing. We cannot believe this vehicle was ever sold, and we cannot believe that anyone ever bought it. That I ever bought it. Yes, sadly I bought this vehicle back in the day and still regret my decision all these years later. I could have put that money to much better use, possibly throwing it away at the strip club or buying a few bottles of champagne in the casino. Next up we have a vehicle that is good for one purpose and one purpose alone, and should you be unlucky enough to drive it, you will see why. Of course we are talking about the lawnmower. Fewer things in GTA 5 Online are as sad as seeing a player driving through the streets on a lawnmower. Try and tackle a gentle slope. Soon enough you will be going in reverse. Think gravity will help you in gaining some speed? Oh no, this thing has no redeeming factors and is completely devoid of all purpose other than the one it was designed for, mowing grass. Some vehicles in GTA 5 are brought in during an update and become part of the missions associated with that update, and while that is fine, a few of these vehicles make it into the market. One such vehicle is the festival bus. In a mission this thing makes sense. You're starting a nightclub and need equipment, so steal it and take it back to be stripped down for parts, but Rockstar in their infinite wisdom decided to make this vehicle available for players to purchase. Imagine a bus for a moment, slow and hard to control, then remove the seats, make it twice as tall, side heavy, and this is the result. If you have a few million in game, we recommend buying something else, because the festival bus has no redeeming qualities. Another vehicle used in sales missions to great distress, we have the box Villaca, the post-op truck. Is there anything more infuriating than getting this as your vehicle in a sales mission? Going from one side of the map to the other under threat of being hunted down by jets, helicopters, and insurgents? The post-op truck is one vehicle sure to get your blood pumping if you find yourself stuck using it. Before we move on to our top spot, we have to make a few honorable mentions. These are vehicles that came up during the making of this video, but we decided against using for reasons we will get into. First off, we have the Air Tug. While we agree this vehicle is terrible, we also thought it was too similar to the Golf Caddy, so we put it in the honorable mentions section instead. Next we have the forklift. It's slow, it's useless, but it can still be fun to mess around with if you find one laying around. Finally we have the Faggio. We know what you're thinking. Shouldn't the Faggio be in the actual list? But while we agree this bike is pretty bad, we also think it's the worst vehicle everyone should own, just because it's so fun. Here we are at the top spot. The first place, top of the vehicles made obsolete by Rockstar Games updates. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Adder. The Adder was at one point the top of the food chain, the ultimate baller item reserved for those elite few with the patience to grind out the $1 million to be able to buy it. Unfortunately for the Adder, its days were always numbered. It didn't take long before new vehicles were added that made it useless. It was no longer fastest, it was no longer the most expensive, it was no longer that ultimate flex in online lobbies, so for that reason we have placed the Adder at the top of our list. That will conclude the list of worst vehicles in GTA 5 Online according to us. What did we miss? What would you change? Why are we wrong? Let us know in the comments section down below, and we might get around to reading them at some point. Leave us a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. Scoob-dee-doo-dee-a-a-dee-doo.